It's space weather. Looking at the solar disk on 193 angstroms, we've got two coronal holes. The incoming one is very deep, very defined, and probably quite powerful. We're also going to rant about economics. And the random fact segment today is going to be totally different. All right, 304 angstroms. Got a big filament in the northwest limb. Pretty rowdy filaments on the eastern limb, too. Filaments are partying over there. Check it out. That's a good one. Let that play through one more time before we go deep into the economic weeds. Let's look at the magnetic lines in 171 angstroms. You can see the depth of that incoming coronal hole. I mean, look at that thing. It looks like a Grand Canyon on the sun there. It's quite huge, quite magnetically significant. We'll be looking for a phi angle shift at any moment. In fact, it could have already happened because we didn't look at it yet today. So let's head to spaceweather.com because Space Weather has a new data set, which we're going to cover right after we look at the real-time solar wind. Since it's updated every minute, it's worth letting it load. Okay, so phi angle is shifting. We don't see a clear signal yet with that. When we do, we expect it to be a higher number than 180. It may already be connecting there, but we don't have enough of a signal yet to say for sure. Solar wind density 7.94, a little higher than it was yesterday. And that's protons per cubic centimeter, by the way. Wind speed 306 kilometers per second. Now, let's head back to space weather. Because space weather has now put up a new applet. We're not going to totally explain it, but there it is, the Thermosphere Climate Index. This basically follows solar cycles. And if you want a further explanation of what this means, just click on the word explanation. It's right there. Also, time to celebrate the Parker Solar Probe. Good times. Feel free to head to spaceweather.com and read all about it. It's breaking records for speed. It's the fastest object mankind has ever made. There's a trajectory. Exciting stuff. We're going to get some solar data that we may not have expected. Let's head to spaceweathernews.com and look at the rest of the nuance. I don't know how you get nuance in data, but let's just pretend there's nuance. X-ray flux, still flatlined. No significant phi angle signal on the ACE either. We're still awaiting that coronal hole magnetic connection, and it will be strong when it does. Magnetometer, not very smooth, so we're keeping an eye on that. KP index has dropped back down to 1. Electron flux extremely low still. This should be coming back up off the floor soon. And the F2 ionosphere layer looks a little bit discharged. All these, this area here, this is pretty anomalous. That's not usually looking like that. In any case, let's do the random fact segment. The random fact segment is, oops, that's not the right slide. The random fact segment is that we are probably in a bear market in the US. Actually, let's do this as a random fact. I used to be a day trader. In the late 90s and early 2000s, I was a tech specialist, and my portfolio did not go down during the NASDAQ bubble burst. You know, when the tech stocks all went down in the year 2000, my portfolio went up. Now, we're not licensed anymore for financials. We're not given any investment advice here. What do you do in a bear market? The opposite of you do in a bull market. In a bull market, you buy the dips and, that's it. You hold the highs and you sell. You buy the lows and you hold the highs. In a bear market, you do the opposite. You sell the upticks. So, in any case, it's a great opportunity to buy silver right now. It's only $14.43 per ounce. Highly recommended, as that is one of the best things to hedge against inflation, which is occurring because the government does not stop spending. And we're going to segue into our most hated company in the whole world, Google. Well, why do we hate Google so much? Well, it's because Google is doing more to destroy the internet than any company in the history of mankind. Now, let's get a different chart here, since this one is just not responding. Let's look at the 3-month chart. Ah, yes, Google falling off a cliff. Now, what's so bad about Google? Well, we're not even going to talk about how they own Android and they're ruining that OS. They don't know how to write software. Google is creepy because this man here, Eric Schmidt, is the creepiest man in tech, in the history of tech, and possibly the creepiest man in the history of business. Why? Well, we're on a HuffPo article here from 2011. If you're still using Google as a search engine, please stop. If you're using Google Chrome as a browser, please use Brave browser instead. Please use DuckDuckGo instead of Google or literally any other company in the world. This article is from 2011. And what's it saying? Well, Eric Schmidt was making sure Google was intentionally shadow banning search results all the way back then. Okay? So if you think you're getting objective search results from a Google search, think again. Now, it's hard to get Google out of your life. They do have some products that we like Google Maps. However, where they started out as a search engine, they no longer are legit. And this guy is the creepiest man in the history of tech. Don't be evil, except he and Google are clearly evil. Anyway, that's about it. Solar activity is very low. Oh, there's one other segment we got to cover here, and that's the earthquake situation. So, head to the USGS app. All right, so we've got a 5.8 in the Drake Passage. That's rare because that is south of South America. Let's go back to the list here. All right. Now, the largest quake we've had recently, we've had a 5.8 at the Central Pacific Rise also. Greece is still getting hit. Keep in mind, Greece is the antipode of Fiji, the opposite side of the planet. Probably not a coincidence that they're getting deep quakes there in New Zealand and then getting quakes in places like Turkey and Greece. Not a coincidence, folks. Now, the most major quake we've had in the past 24 hours is this one right here, 6.1 at New Zealand. Now, that sounds big, but it's at 227 kilometers depth. So you don't feel a lot of shaking in a quake like that. But it could foretell of a larger quake. So, we don't want to see Auckland get hit by a 7. But that's the way the force goes. I mean, the force goes in this situation, it goes this way towards Sumatra. So, yeah. Earthquakes are rocking. And when you have a deep earthquake like that, there's a distinct possibility that you get a greater magnitude quake at the surface. All right, what else do we have here? It looks like an uptick in earthquake activity here. Got a 5.6 in Greece, a 4.7 in Greece, a 4.6 in Guam, a 4.8 in Indonesia, a 3.5 in Utah, that's a rarity, and a 5.0 in Greece just came in. So yeah, the story is the coronal hole. Spaceweather.com is predicting a wind stream coming in from this one by Halloween. Haven't verified that. But the real story is going to be this one, because its magnetic connection is going to be big. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoy the videos, please like and subscribe. Share with your friends on social media. We'll be making more daily. Remember, don't accept any wooden nickels, especially if they're from Google.